Snapchat has over 450 million daily active users and yet has only had two profitable quarters in its entire history. Billions in sales, but zero profit. Not only that, they also had consistent annual revenue growth, but the share price first declined and then moved more or less sideways. This is especially surprising given its size, considering Meta just earned 20 billion in a single quarter. So how did Snapchat become one of the biggest social media giants and still not make any money? Looking back, it's easy to understand why Snapchat took off. When it launched in 2011, the social media landscape looked very different. Apps evolved towards perfect, curated, and almost professional photos and posts instead of offering authentic insights into people's lives. But founders Bobby Murphy and Evan Spiegel discovered a gap in the market. Since most photo apps on the market claim to make photos more beautiful or stylish, we thought there was a chance to do something different. We wanted a place where we could share embarrassing selfies and funny photos with our friends, said Evan. Snapchat has turned social media on its head. Instead of posting something that stays online forever, on Snapchat, it disappears. They called it ephemeral message. If you sent someone a snap, they could only see it for 10 seconds or less after opening it. Then, it was gone. That was the opposite of what social media was back then. Low risk, authentic, and funny. It took away the need to send the perfect snap, and you could just send what was real because it wasn't going to stick around for long anyway. Snapchat isn't about capturing the traditional Kodak moment. It's about communicating with the full range of human emotions, not just what seems beautiful or perfect. A great idea, but Snapchat went one step further. Snapchat pioneered streaks, but their greatest invention was the story. Public photos or videos that disappeared after one day. The same temporary fun, but visible to everyone. Today, we see it everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even Telegram, but it all started with Snapchat. You could say that Snapchat is one of the most innovative social media companies. They invented Snap Streaks, which encourage you to take a photo for your friends every day and stick with it. It feels like every game and app has something like this now, but back then, it was revolutionary and made Snapchat's numbers skyrocket. Then they developed Live Location. This allows you to see where your friends are, to do something spontaneously, or to see if they got home safely. However, I admit that this could also be used for unfair purposes. Then, there are Snapchat's powerful AR filters. Like the previous features, this one was a first. It's hard to explain why they were so important, but they added a unique experience to Snapchat. Whenever a new filter came out, everyone tried it out, and some were really crazy, weird, or funny. Filters are everywhere these days, but back then, they were part of Snapchat's identity. And even today, the others aren't as evolved or unique as Snapchat's. Snapchat has grown rapidly and climbed to the top of the App and Play stores. By 2016, it had 100 million users, and by 2019, it had 200 million. In fact, the number of daily active users has increased in almost every quarter since its founding, and now stands at over 450 million. Revenue followed this trend, rising steadily almost every quarter to 5.3 billion in 2024. From the beginning, the focus was less on formalities and more on fun. This was different and incredibly popular with a certain group. Teenagers, people who used social media more frequently and wanted a more authentic experience than curated perfect photos on Instagram. It sounds like Snapchat is doing great, or at least it should, but when we look closer, we see a very different picture. Aside from an absurd surge during the pandemic, Snapchat's shares have moved sideways since its IPO. Despite rising sales, profits have anything but increased. In the fourth quarter of 2021, Snap Inc. reported its first ever profit, and its share price quickly rose 60%. CEO and founder Evan said, "2021 was an exciting year for Snap, and we made significant progress in growing our business and serving our global community. Everything seemed to be going great. But then things went downhill again, one unprofitable quarter after another. Demographic developments also do not speak in favor of the company. According to Snapchat, Snapchat reaches 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds in 25 countries. But what really matters is how long they use the app. Snapchat ranks far behind in monthly user activity, behind Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and way behind TikTok. The usage time is quite low at about 3 hours and 20 minutes per month per user. Instagram was at 16 hours, YouTube at 27 hours, and TikTok at 34 hours. The perception of the brand is also struggling. While Snapchat used to be the favorite app of teenagers, it has slowly declined in popularity. Currently, Instagram is the most used app by teenagers, and TikTok is consistently the most popular app. In 2023, 28% of teenagers cited Snapchat as their favorite app, but in 2024, that number dropped to 18%. But why? Well, that's a somewhat complex question. You may have noticed some clues I gave before, but one problem Snapchat struggled with was copying. The company was innovative, but unfortunately, that only meant they were the first, or rather, the first victim. Facebook and most other platforms have blatantly copied everything Snapchat has done. Stories first appeared on Instagram, then on Facebook. Filters also followed soon after. They even released their own version of disappearing snaps with POC, but it was discontinued after less than 2 years. Then they released another Snapchat clone called Slingshot, which was also discontinued after about a year. I guess you can steal without consequences as long as you're big and powerful enough. All of this has hampered Snapchat's growth. Almost every competitive advantage quickly disappeared, but that still doesn't fully explain the lack of profit. They are generating revenue and it is growing. Then why can't you make a profit? Snap has invested billions in its biggest competitive advantage, AR technology, and it goes far beyond filters. They recently introduced their own augmented reality glasses called Spectacles. They see it as a crucial part of the future and have even partnered with OpenAI to integrate AI tools for developers. But that hasn't really paid off yet. This is not the first version of AR glasses. The first came to market in 2016 and resulted in a $40 million write-down of unsold inventory. They tried again in 2021, but again, they were unable to generate any sales. Evan Spiegel is convinced that AR camera technology is the right way forward, but it's hard to say whether he's right. It should not be forgotten that Meta has invested $63 billion in similar technologies with less than convincing results. However, Meta can afford these losses because they make so much money. Snapchat can't do that. I think there's a bigger problem, a fundamental problem, which I'm not sure Snapchat can solve. Like other social media apps, Snapchat makes money from advertising. But there is one big problem that only Snapchat has. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, and other social media apps all have one thing in common. They keep people engaged with feeds. There is a lot of user-generated content. Snapchat doesn't have that. To be clear, you can scroll on Snapchat, but compared to the competition, it's extremely boring. The app is designed for you to open it, send a snap, maybe look at a few stories, and then move on. Not a great environment to see a lot of advertisers. But what about the billions in sales? Well, $5 billion in annual revenue is impressive, but not compared to other social media giants. In the same year, Meta generated $164 billion, and unlike Snapchat, actually made a lot of profit. Snapchat has hundreds of millions of users, but the monetization of each individual user is quite poor due to the short usage time and the limited opportunities to display ads. So what does the future look like? Is there still hope for Snapchat? Today, Snapchat is in a difficult situation. The app has been around for 10 years. That doesn't sound like a problem at first. After all, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and many others have been around for much longer. The problem here lies in Snapchat's target audience. Teenagers. Snapchat is losing popularity among its target audience. The original group of teenagers who made Snapchat big has grown up. For them, features like streaks, live, location, and scheduled messages are no longer as attractive as they can find in many other apps. Users are moving on. Many users who joined Discord as teenagers still use Discord. The same goes for Instagram. This is not the case with Snapchat. New teenagers are jumping on the Snapchat bandwagon, but that brings us to another problem. Advertisers spend money to acquire customers. This is pretty obvious, but it means they want to show their ads to people who spend money. Teenagers essentially have no disposable income, which means a much lower average revenue per user. TikTok is popular with teenagers, but they spend much more time there. So while revenue per user is lower, total revenue is much higher. TikTok is penetrating Snap's target audience. People are spending less online, and Apple's move to limit the data apps can collect from iPhone users was a major blow to the business model. Snapchat has short session times from users with low purchasing power, but there may still be hope. In the fourth quarter of 2024, Snapchat announced its second ever profitable quarter. Net income was $9 million, which is not particularly impressive, considering revenue of $1.5 billion in the same quarter and represents a net margin of less than 1%. But technically speaking, the company is in the black. Although Snapchat posted a loss of $26 million for the year as a whole, its profit margins are improving. Since 2022, margins have improved every quarter from 31% to 13%. Now things could finally turn positive. Part of this could be because users and advertisers switched to Snapchat out of fear of the TikTok ban. But there are other changes. Not long ago, the platform introduced Snapchat Plus, a paid subscription. When it launched in late 2023, it had 5 million subscribers, but now it has 14 million. In an environment with lower advertising revenues, this makes a big difference to the bottom line. However, Snapchat still has a long way to go to prove true profitability, and only time will tell if they will ever achieve that. But to be honest, it could be much worse. On the positive side, Snapchat has shown enough growth and generated enough revenue to stay afloat and remain independent. Thanks for watching. Check out one of our other videos now. And if you want more questions, feel free to subscribe to the channel.